Welcome to Power Monday, where your Mondays will never be blue again. Hello everybody, good morning and welcome back to another episode of Power Monday, where your Mondays will never be blue again. As always, my name is Taufik, and if you're new here, Power Monday is ERA's original podcast where we bring in the best of the best in the industry to share their real life journeys, the strategies that kept them going, and the best practices for success. So if you guys are looking for your weekly dose of empowerment, of motivation, we are here for you every Monday, 10 a.m. and you can also catch us on One ERA Singapore Spotify and One ERA YouTube. So for today's motivational speaker, we have a seasoned veteran in the industry known for his unwavering commitment to exceptional customer service. And his forward-thinking approach sets him apart as he focuses not only on meeting current needs, but also anticipating future needs. So ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Power Monday studio, Elson, Chia.
Thank you, Taufik. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming.
Yes. So okay. What do you want me to elaborate or talk on?
I would like to expand on, so if you guys tune in on Chris Chen's episode, he mentioned about not focusing on the past nor the future, but focusing on the now. But I think it's also important to have a mindset that the future sometimes is better than the present. Right? So that is what we're going to be talking about today. So maybe Elson, from your lens, what does the idea that the future is better than the present mean to you personally?
I guess this quote came out in December when, there's this kind of weekly program, and I did mention that every successful person will hold to belief. Number one is that the future can be better than the present, and then I have the power to make it so. We wouldn't say the future is better than the future than the present, because the thing here is that when you say can be, it's actually up to you. Okay, so when that quote was being sort of mentioned, essentially what I'm trying to say is that you have the control. It means that you are able to control your perception, your attitude, your effort, and your attitude, commitment as well. Because future in a way can be quite fluid, and nobody can predict the future. All right, so we don't have a crystal ball to say, what's going likely to be, happening. But all in all, when you mention about the part on the mindfulness, and you hear quite a fair bit of people always talk about, living in the present. This is where I think there's some misconception about trying to look into the future. Okay, people will say that, well, it can be a distraction. You could be, fantasizing, but if this sort of distraction, if you really look at it, you will realize that then you are leading it nowhere.
Yeah.
So when we look into or believing that the future can be better than the present, essentially it broadens your vision. All right. It sets you, that kind of give you the idea that, well, it's able to pre-plan, and you can even envisage or certain obstacles that is there, and then what action that you want to take. Yeah,
I think to view in another different perspective is also sometimes when we go through an obstacle or we go through a failure at this point of life, we think that, we have no future already. And I think that's the wrong mindset, right? What do you have to say about that?
Okay, the thing is that by default, we tend to dwell onto the past. Okay, but it is a lot of things, if you really want to sort of quieten and do a little bit of a recap, sort of
self-reflection.
Yeah, self-reflection. You realize that those are the past, because people went through some failures, and they keep thinking that that's a situation that will reoccur. So what I personally feel is that, because when you had people where you had certain deals. For our industry, we talk about agents, right? So we encounter, usually when we are listing, we are marketing, and then you have viewings, and they offer and negotiation, it falls through. Or even that listing sometimes is not an exclusive, it's an open listing. There's competition out there, then you lose that listing. So there you are, you can get yourself sort of very affected. And knowing that, it's going to be the same. So what I personally find is that when we believe that the future can be better, essentially it's the understanding on knowing that we basically as a human, we are 10% on the conscious mind and 90% is actually on our subconscious mind.
Correct.
So those kind of things, that our subconscious mind actually determine a lot of, in fact, our survivalhood, our livinghood, our organs and all that. You lie down, you sleep, and your heart is still functioning.
Correct.
Your blood is still, everything is still. Otherwise, you won't be still around. So the conscious mind actually only 10% involved in the analytical, and then probably you make decision. It can be short-term memory, a bit of your willpower, if you want to say. But the subconscious mind is like a supercomputer. It affects your emotion, it's your belief, it's your self-worth, and it can be the one that actually determine your future. So once you can look at it at that sort of perspective, you realize that you can reprogram your subconscious mind. Actually, we should always believe that we are the creator of our own destiny.
Yeah.
So the past that has occurred, if it dwell on you, it actually can lead you to always think that you don't have that possibility. But the possibility that lies ahead is essentially how you want to reprogram the subconscious mind. Yeah.
So when we say the future is better than the present, do you mean to say that we should have a future-focused mindset?
Precisely. The thing here is that let's suppose, as an example, you see, we speak from, that's something that's relevant to our industry. So, as an agent, you want to be a top achiever. So you had the intention to be an achiever, and is it the question then go this way, is it your intention to be an achiever, or is it your experience that lead you to be an achiever? So if you think it's your experience, right? So then what's going to be programmed inside you is that unknowingly you will think that I think I'm not qualified yet.
Yeah.
I don't have the skill set. So this will just play out. It will just continue. But if you think that you have the intention, then it's very different. You may not have the experience. So you have the intention, the action, the inspired action you take, will be very different. The experience will then come with it. So this is what I call, people use the term catch-22 phenomenon. Basically, catch-22 means that, okay, for instance, some will say that I need a job. No, I need to have an experience before I can get a job, right?
Yeah.
You go for an interview. But then the other way is that if you don't have a job, how do you get the experience? So precisely the situation about such is that, if the achiever feel that, I am not good enough, I need to have the experience, then you'll be dwelling on that. That become a self-limiting belief. Because many times if you look about questioning, there's actually a few levels of questioning. If you want to achieve that particular success or a goal, the first level, you think, is it possible? So then, anyway, every level of questioning will have some assumption. So when you say, is it possible? The assumption is that I don't think I am qualified.
Yeah.
I'm new, I don't have the experience. The other assumption may be that the market is challenging.
Yeah.
And again, I do encounter difficulty. The second level of questioning, you will then want to go into the fact that, how. Okay, when you talk about how, is that first of all, the assumption is that it's possible. The question is then how you go about doing it. All right. Then the next one will be when. Okay, but when, that means you are very determined that this is actually possible.
Yeah.
Okay, but time is a factor that you can't sort of determine. There are things that are still beyond your control.
Correct.
So once you look at that sort of perspective, somehow, I think we hear people talk about affirmation, right? Affirmation is that you sort of train yourself, by the words, that from some motivation speaker will tells you, you should affirm that I can make it, I'm well able, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But these are, over time, you need to be very persistent because the other part of yourself, or inner self, may not believe what it is.
Right.
And this was something that I shared with my own group. I did a session on also a mindset. And as I do a little bit of reading, we talk about affirmation, but there's one word that may not appear so frequently. It's called affirmation.
Affirming.
AFFORMATIONG. So instead of affirmation, it becomes affirmation. So actually, you went to Webster Dictionary, the words is there, but it's very seldom being used. Essentially, affirmation is actually an empowering question. That means you are making a declaration statement into that question. So just now we say the 3 level, right? 3 level of questioning. So the thing is that every level of questioning will carry a little bit, behind it, some assumption. So as an example, because we also know that we consist of our subconscious mind, the supercomputer. So one good way is that sometimes you ask, why am I so blessed? So if you look at it, when you say that, why am I so blessed? The subconscious mind can't block you. In fact, he would then, the subconscious mind unknowingly, in a mysterious way, will try and try to draw out data to back up what you have just said.
Yeah.
So this can be mystical, but of course, sometimes when we practice this, it's like any other skill set. It doesn't happen just overnight.
Correct.
Okay, discipline, and in fact, there are situations where you may encounter a test. Okay, it's just like a computer. You want to write a program, right? The product that you have gone through, the family, your background, your peers. So all these are your habitual pattern that's been programmed. So, for instance, when you say test, is that you know that these are something important that you want to sort of foresee yourself to envisage the kind of success. But the deal just went off. You lost that deal. Actually, it happened to us, recently. It happened to us, because while we were constantly able to sort of cultivate this sort of mindset, this sort of attitude, but it doesn't mean that we are totally there yet. So we lost a deal, but instead of like letting your head down, say, I don't think it will work. We actually went on to pursue. It's actually an open house. It's an open listing. All right, it's a landed property. We lost a deal. Okay, I don't want to say what happened. Of course, there are possibility that we know it's being hijacked. But it's a competitive business, right?
Correct.
So no fault of people. Just that the timing and all that didn't work out. And somehow, the other open house that we are doing, we say this time round, I want to go and talk to the other developer on another property on an exclusive basis. And amazingly, we got in because the effort that we initially put in was appreciated. I don't know whether this developer knew that we have lost that deal, but somehow we got the exclusive. And the thing is that while this exclusive now, we are quite certain that it's going to be, offer is on the way in, it's a fund that is going to be transferred. But what happened is that within this process, something also amazing happened because we lost a property that is worth about close to 9 million.
Wow.
Then along the same time, we actually had a referral which wants to look for a big property. And the GCB that want to give us a budget of 20. We say no, 20 you can't find because based on what has actually happened, you can't find. Then amazingly, in the next 2 weeks, while all these are happening, and he said, how about 25? I said, 25, I think that's possible. But you can't be focusing on the D10. It can be the other GCP zone. So eventually this deal surprisingly actually, materialized. So it's almost like somehow, because, okay, to give you the real analogy, this subconscious mind, I use the word mystical, is that because if you ask me, I may not know exactly why it happened this way.
Okay.
So like you are trying to override your program, right? So when this test happens, it's like a message telling you, so do you want to install your new programming or you want to keep the old one? So if you get disheartened, distracted, or you're frustrated, you're upset, so you're basically telling your subconscious mind, keep the old file.
The old one.
Keep the old one. So this is how I think, in many ways, if I want to be more, make it a usual statement that is more simplified, we say your inner world, your inner states, actually you are yourself pushed out, or rather your outer experience, your outer circumstances is a reflection of your inner self. You can't give what you don't have. Albert Einstein actually says that the same problem cannot be solved at the same conscious level. No problem, he actually said, no problem can be solved at the same conscious level. So that quote from Albert Einstein is basically telling you there are two levels of consciousness, your conscious mind and your subconscious mind.
Okay, understand. Yeah. So why do you believe it's important to focus on the possibilities instead of dwelling on your mistakes?
Oh, good question. I mean, this is where it separates the achiever, the successful people against the unsuccessful people. Okay, the more successful people, the unsuccessful people will make decision based on their current circumstances. But successful people will make the decision based on where they want it to be, where they perceive themselves. So this can be a way where you need to sort of practice, because it requires anything that is just like training your muscle. So we mentioned that this sort of thing is all boils down. It's about mental strength, mental resilience. Okay, we say people will think if you are strong. What do you mean by you are strong? Is it because you can lift weight? Is it because you can endure hardship, or you can have gritted teeth through adversity? Okay, all these strengths, actually the foundation of it actually comes through your mental strength. You are able to sort of achieve all that is because mentally you are very resilient. So when you say when you are mentally resilient, we are not saying that we ignore the current situation, we pretend no problem exists, or maybe some people will say this is naive optimism. You're trying to sort of act as if you are okay. It's not. It's that we acknowledge there's still challenges, but we choose. It's a decision. It's always anything that you sort of embark upon. It's always that you make a choice, a decision to rise above it. Right? You acknowledge, and then you know that these current circumstances is not your final destination. Yeah.
Do you have any experience in your career where a difficult situation in the present hindered you from the possibilities in the future?
Of course. Just like the earlier one I mentioned, but even if I reflect back, it sometimes occur. I mean, thankfully, it's not very frequent, but I can recall that it can happen to anyone in the real estate. That we were serving also a referrer. That was a couple of years back, looking for a D15 freehold semi-D. So because this is a referrer, so the certain amount of trust is there.
Yeah.
But then he says you don't need to sort of like bring me around. This property is on the market. Just let me know the address. So somehow, sometimes we manage to know which property is on the market. The D15 freehold semi-D. So we give him the address. He drive there. So this thing went on. Of course, not every day, but over the last 6 months. So of all the property, I think I lose count of it easily more than 15. None of it somehow is what he wants in terms of the states of the condition of the property or the location. So then, are we going to give up? We didn't. So we know he's serious about buying. So exactly what happened was around the same time, then a freehold development came out. Now this time it's not landed, it's a condominium. So it's a freehold, because I think the key thing he wanted was a freehold property.
Yeah.
So we suggest, they said, why don't you take a look? And at first he said, no, I'm looking for a lender. I said, never mind, no obligation. It's a preview launch. You can just come around, you can bring your... And then I think he has 3 kids, and then the children are really grown up. And lo and behold, when they went there, they forget about it. They want to look for a lender. They end up buying this freehold penthouse. And then after TOP, we continue to get it. They stay there for a while.
Yeah.
And after that, they say, of course, they have multiple property. Then they say we want to lease out. So we got a rental done as well. And after the rental, I think market appreciated. They think they can sort of cash out, and we do another resale. So the initial period where somehow, if you encounter that you are serving a buyer, and then you face, I would say, this sort of challenge that you can't get, the right property for this prospect, never give up. One of my agents, in fact, just let me see, last month, I knew that because I literally asked him, because he came and see some of the property that Brenda was marketing. This is what I think his referral, the buyer. So I asked him, he said, wow, if you ask me, I asked him, how many property have you shown? He said, I didn't really count, but I think easily above 50. Well, that was over maybe about 2 months period, almost every weekend. Then eventually he got property at D19. Yeah. So you see, this sort of situation, if you sort of, kind of feel that, the kind of frustration inside you and they don't have the end in mind, then obviously the client also can feel it. So yes. So these are things where it always occur. So you can persevere, persistency, and then of course the word that I just mentioned is they're going to be mentally resilient.
Yeah. I mean, as much as we shouldn't worry about the future too much, but at the same time, I feel like it's a good way to take advantage of the possibilities, to kind of use it as motivation, right? For you to actually pursue your aspirations. So, how does the belief that the future hold better opportunities, like I mentioned about motivation and decision making, right? What are probably some ways that we can kind of psych ourselves so that the future possibilities can motivate us?
Okay. Yeah. Of course, there must be some sort of steps, approach that you can take. Quite frequently, if you check around, books and all that, if you read, where I do sometimes try and also, because the amazing question is always, how come certain people just, is it because they are born that way? No. So I realized one of the method is actually about visualization. So the visualization is a couple of ways. One of it, it can actually create a movie of yourself. Yeah. Okay. You see, this is again not daydreaming, but let's be very real about, say, if you ever watch a movie, those very suspenseful one, the horror movie. That one is, is a movie. It's not a real thing.
Yeah.
But have you ever feel, your heartbeat?
Like
sometimes the tension come out. So right now, you play that movie of yourself. You can have it that you visualize yourself. What is it like that, when you achieve your goal? Right? So again, before I do that, that's why the earlier part I mentioned, is it your intention or your experience?
Yeah.
If you think it's going to be your experience, then you'll forever think that you're not there yet. But if it's your intention, then the experience will come with it. So you dare to think big, you dare to visualize, the movie of yourself. You can even use your 5 senses to feel it, to say that, wow, okay, on the convention, okay, I'm going to dress well. So of course, ERA has that kind of billionaire, rising millionaire. So you can visualize yourself. You go to your salon, you do your hair.
Yeah.
So that itself, you play a movie of it. All right. Then of course, there are people who say that you need to engage in the self-dialogue, inner self-talking and all that. You can actually, even while you sleep or you wake up, you can always say, everything is going to work out. I think no one will wake up to say, today I'm looking forward to a failure. Okay. So the inner conversation can be like, while that happened, you can even visualize that, wow, the colleagues come and pat your shoulder, your teammates say, hey, well done, wow, it's amazing. It's really a breakthrough. I'm very happy for you. You can actually literally hear that. So that's one. Then, of course, the embody the success is that you had to feel it. You had to feel it. So this sort of situation, again, it's not going to be sort of easy. It doesn't sort of occur overnight. Your bank suddenly won't appear a couple of zeros. So it's a process. And along the way, because you can't deny reality, right? The true fact is just that you have to hold these two, sort of be in the present. At the same time, you have a desire state. So this visualization is trying to bridge the gap. All right. Then along the way, you know that at times, it can be a test because the subconscious mind is following. Whether are you serious about it? So if sort of a failure come about or a case is lost, how are you going to respond?
Yeah.
So this is where a couple of things that you need to be mindful of.
Understand. Earlier you mentioned about how the clients can also feel your outlook. So right. So I think it's important that we keep resilient so that it also reflects when people see us.
Yes.
So I'm pretty sure like if you really or unmotivated, and then when you go for viewings, your clients will definitely be able to see. It's like then it will also affect their trust in you. Like, hey, how come I cannot trust? So how I mean, all of us will go through our bad days, right? So in a case where it happens, today is one of those bad days, and I have to go for viewing, I have to meet a client. So are there strategies that you would advise for the agent to do before actually?
Oh, yes. It's usually that many years ago, I think when we were still rookies, there one producer actually ever said that that she happens to be the lady says, of course weekend you put the advertisement, you waiting for the appointment to be fixed. But he says that she actually dressed up the spirit first. So that means morning you wake up, you get your shower, she get all the essential, her makeup, whatever need to be done, hair nicely blown, so that when the call come, you can get out of the house in 30 minutes. Yeah, instead of say, oh, okay, because sometimes the client may give you a time. Of course, you can say that you can't make it, but she's getting ready. So in the same context, what we feel is that for us, we are, no matter how, it can be in a hot day, of course you don't, now many people don't practice. There are still some. I never want to say that is right or wrong. You can carry your jacket. If you're a guy, then, inside the show flat or house where there's aircon, you can put on a jacket. But you don't have to be that. What I meant is that you need to be neat. Okay, it doesn't have to be something, all the branded stuff, if you look neat, your hair, is done up, and then you are shaved. So if people look at you, it's comfortable. So if you realize that you don't see a successful businessman or anyone that it's actually attained that kind of result, so remarkable, that it's very shabby, that kind of situation, it doesn't really, you can see it doesn't match. So I believe that's how the client can feel your energy level. So of course the confidence that you carry along with it would be things that you need to know also on the bit of the market. Prices, yes, seller wants a certain level, and then buyers sometimes also can give you low ball, but we had to know that we are there to manage the expectation.
Yeah, sometimes when we talk about thinking about future possibilities, it's also, I feel like it's also not good if we get too carried away until we forgot about the present. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, I think you can't, that's why I say you need to hold that to reality. We are not ignoring that the challenge don't exist. We are not denying that the problem cannot arise. Things because the future can be very fluid.
Yeah.
But when that occur, right, you will be able to rise above it. You can see challenge as a setback, as a comeback, a way for you to learn to grow. Actually, when we had the past occurrence or whatever, the key point here is that don't treat it as a teacher, not a jailer. You're not trapped, back to that scenario that you think that's going to, be always the case. So the whole thing is that because our mind, is something that you really need to train, just like you train your muscle. So instead of saying what if, because people tend to worry.
Yeah, a lot.
So that's where a lot of time the other teaching, which is just as useful, tells you to be, living in the present. So then, why don't you change the what if to what can be or what is, something like that? Because if you dwell too much on your fear and doubts, that can cripple you. I guess so the whole thing is like the same thing, if you don't, that you don't wake up saying that I'm looking forward to a failure, then why don't you wake up and say, look forward to that, everything is going to work out. Yeah, but at the same time, you are harboring that. Oh, I know this is difficult.
Yeah.
This is not a case where you kind of practice and you overnight, you can see amazing result. Because along the way, you will encounter, the resistance, obstacle.
course.
So sometimes you may want to visualize that obstacle that as if it's a wall, then you are well able, you are empowered, you had that inner strength. You can see this wall just crippling, falling apart in front of you. Of course, you can't dictate that, So that's why the way you approach the matter is quite significant. It's the way, the words you use. You see, sometimes people say, I will be successful. So you are postponing that, because you are talking in the future language.
It will.
Yeah, I will be, ma.
Yeah.
Okay. Instead of I will be successful, why don't you say I'm successful? Okay, I'm wealthy. Yeah, but you know that it's a struggle, right? Because you say I'm wealthy, then you look at your bank account and say, it's again I'm deceiving myself. It's not self-deception. It's you have to train because you need to really be able to program your mind, and at the same time you're not denying what is actually now your circumstances, but you can be very sure that the circumstances don't dictate your destiny. So you need to see as if you are the creator. All right, it's something where you know that you can have the power. That's why when I use the quote, I said you have the power to do it. So it boils down that you have to take ownership. Actually, you know that sometimes, when I read all this on the books or when I observe, I'm nothing to sort of that you envy. You need to sort of see how, of course, you may not hear exact words from them, but we have to come to that. It's the skill that you may think that, wow, I need to acquire that skill. Actually, it's not to be acquired. It's not something you need to acquire. It's something you need to be awakened. You need to be awakened that you had the inherent power. Are you ready to harness it? Because once you realize that you had that power, so it's a discipline then to sort of constantly, because your mind, you can always be cluttered. You can have a lot of thoughts, negative thoughts, and then the fear, the doubts, and all that creep in. So it's where become an exercise. If you, actually, I see sometimes some agents, I realize that, of course, they switch camp. They think that, wow, I saw that the other side, so good. And some people, of course, there's nothing wrong with training. I advocate that training is crucial. I also step up to be part of the landed series.
Expert series,
yeah. So if you go for training, you need that knowledge to equip yourself. Well and good. But what's going to be, sort of bad is that you think that there is a formula out there, there's a system out there, there's a magic out there. So you go down that route, right? It's that rabbit trail you keep chasing. So you're basically saying that until I know that formula. Okay, I must get the system. I must get the skill set, But actually, it's the power reside all in you.
Yeah.
And this is where a lot of people stumble. Okay, because they kind of may practice what visualization, those things I say. All right, they hear certain books to sort of know how to practice it, but they are doing it on the intellect level. It's a case where they say, okay, I think that's important. I need to harness that. But are you able to embody it? Are you able to sort of feel it, using your senses, and also know that you can be challenged, being tested. So if you are sensible enough to know that these are lessons that you can learn along the way to equip to make sure you are even better. That's past mistake that you make, right? You can use that, to sort of gain more wisdom. Then you are okay. So go for training. Yes, the knowledge you need to equip. But like what I say, there's some other thing that inside you that you need to be awakened. Yeah, that's the more important.
So that's one of the ways how someone can mentally and physically prepare themselves for the unknowing future. Because I think in the past few episodes, we also talk about how we talk a lot about how when we are afraid of the future, it's very difficult for us to also move on. But then we also need to not to too much rely on future possibilities as well, because at the same time, like we discussed, we also need to have a balance lah, right? Okay, what advice would you give to someone struggling with the belief that their future will be better?
With all that say, if you need to really say, what should be the advice is that you first have to know that you are the creator of yourself, and then the other statement that it's more importantly is to say that your outer circumstances is a reflection of your inner states. So, or rather, you are yourself being pushed out. So if you don't hold a belief in yourself, if you don't sort of believe that you are also able to harness that power to create your destiny, to know that the success, your desired state. So this is where, that's what I just mentioned, is how you bridge that gap. Of course, the other thing, the advice I need to give is because I know that, as I just mentioned, at times you still meet failure.
Yeah.
But the other thing that is more importantly is to be able to detach from the outcome. This is the
this is the crucial.
This is the crucial, because you tend to think that I practice what is being shared, then I say, okay, this month I need to close this much, I need to close. So I give you an example is that, for instance, you go to a restaurant, right? You open up the menu, you open up, wow, this beef steak, I ordered the beef steak, right? Okay, so it takes a while, it may be 15 minutes, the waiter will tell you, hey, today we got a lot of customers, it may take even 20 minutes. You don't have to go into the kitchen to supervise the chef, right?
Some people do.
You do?
No, some people. No,
So what I'm trying to say is the switching of that thing, you must be able to use analogy so that you are, okay, when I bring this analogy, you laugh, right? Because you know that it's ridiculous, right? So you got to detach from the outcome. It's not up to you, all right? It's if there's a higher power, of course, everyone, we don't touch on the spiritual side. Leave it for the higher power to sort of, have that faith in you. Or the same way, like for instance, you talk about the balance just now, that the current states, we are not ignoring, we're trying to rise above it. Then it's like, now you turn on to the radio, you don't like this, you can switch what?
Yeah.
Right? So you switch to the next station, the frequency of the station of your desired outcome. So if you put it in that context, you realize that, so it's not so kind of complex, right? It's not so mystical, right? So essentially, it still boils down to a decision, a choice that you have to make.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much, Elson. It has been such a pleasure to have you here in the studio.
Oh, yes, okay.
Okay, guys, so remember, embracing the future doesn't have to be a chore. You can always view the future as something that's hopeful and that excites you to do better and to improve on your skill sets and your mindset as well. By focusing on future possibilities and maintaining a forward-thinking mindset, I think we can navigate our dreams better and our decisions better. And most importantly, it also instills us some confidence as well, I believe. So thank you so much, you guys, for tuning in to this episode. If you enjoyed the conversation that we had, please don't forget to continue to follow us on Spotify and also leave a comment on our YouTube. We would love to hear your experiences as well. Stay tuned for more powerful episodes. Remember, your Mondays don't have to be blue again. Continue to feel empowered as we continue to rise by raising others. It has been Elson and Taufik. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Power Monday, where your Mondays will never be blue again.